so painful. Someone's watching me right now. Holy Hannah. Oh my gosh. I have a new bestie. While I like set up in the room. You know, finding a good camera stand isn't always easy, but I want to tell you this. So she's like, how they standardly treat a yeast infection is they just put you on an antibiotic, and if that antibiotic doesn't work, then they'll switch your medication. And what they sometimes will do is test, they'll take like a culture and tell you what type, because I didn't know this because I don't get these very often, but I've had them, I've been taking notes because I get furious every time they put me on just like the standard antibiotic, but there's different strains of a yeast infection. Same with like, you know, like the flu, or what's another, yeah, like the flu, there's different strains of it or something. And so the one medication that they give me never gets rid of it, so I always have to come back in, and they're like, oh, well, you must have the not so common strain. I'm like, yeah, duh, it's me, it's not going to be the common option. And so anyway, I make them take a culture whenever I come in. And so I don't know if that's helpful to anybody, but that's like years of experience from me. So get a culture so that they know exactly what type of antibiotic to give you, so that way you're not taking an antibiotic for a week, it's not helping, and then you get on a new one, because I don't want to be on antibiotics if I don't have to, especially one that's not doing anything for me. I came to a new place, obviously, because I'm not on Logan anymore, and their artwork is so beautiful. It's so feminine, so fitting for an OB office. Isn't that more comforting than what you typically see in a doctor's office? I just love it. Well, let's hope there's no mirrors or reflections around here, because I ain't got no pants on. I cannot even tell you. It's not a yeast infection, I can tell you that much. Okay, remember when I went on a cruise and I got folliculitis all over my legs? It's when the follicle gets infected. Well, like every single leg hair follicle got infected on this cruise, and it was the most painful thing. Well, during the holidays, I had it all over my legs. I couldn't get rid of it, couldn't get rid of it, couldn't get rid of it. And finally it was gone. It's been cleared for like a month. I have folliculitis, not all over, you know, not all over, on one little area, just a nice big infected follicle. But it's not where you would imagine, like there's not like, so how can we explain this? Anyway, he had to pop the sore. I didn't know that's what he was gonna do. I gasped, I screamed, but I was holding my body really still. I'm really good at like compartmentalizing, and I was freaking out from the chest up. I was just like, you know, and I kept the lower part of my body perfectly still, and I said, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm sorry, I have to pop this. He was so sweet. He was the sweetest OB. He was, I fell in love. He was such a nice older man, so classy, very, like, took his time with me. Anyway, I'm like, what caused this? I'm like, what caused this? He's like, So it just somehow, a little follicle, and of course I cried, and I'm like, I have the worst, most sensitive skin ever. Oh. You want to know the most embarrassing part of this whole venture? It wasn't getting up in the stirrups. It wasn't screaming at when the doctor was literally popping the life out of me. It was when the doctor left. I gave you the dialogue that I gave you. I walk out, his office shares a wall, and the nurses are right there. I was talking loud enough, they totally heard me. They heard me. Like, what, what did they think I was doing. Did they think I was talking to myself? Did they think I was like on the phone with someone? I mean, that was the most embarrassing part of that doctor's visit. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you one thing. We had the nurse and the doctor laughing towards the end though, because, you know, when I just talk too much. I do. Anyway, when I walked out, and you know, he's like, okay, let me know if you need anything. And I was like, I'll tell you one thing. I was like, I walked in here barely being able to walk. Like, the friction was so painful. I don't think anything has ever hurt so bad in my life. Never an OB, like a doctor, like a baby check or anything, like when I'm having a baby or anything like that. Someone's watching me right now. And nothing. No other check has ever been as painful as this. Holy Hannah, it hurt. But I was like, it doesn't hurt anymore. And he's like, then we're heading in the right direction. He's like, call me if you have any questions. Anyway, popping that sucker really was the ticket. I'll tell you that, okay? I don't know if this was the type of vlog y'all bargained for when you got on YouTube today. But there you go. There you go. Say something in the comments to comfort me. Tell me a story. You know, mommy loves a good story time. Confessions of the OB. That's what I want in the description below. That's what I want. His nurses were so cute though. The nurse that was in there when I was leaving, I was like, that was wild. She's all, that was wild. I have a new bestie.